My mother was the Queen for a very long time. And although you kind of know that this might happen, you don't really think about it very much.
In the quiet hills of Balmoral Castle, far from the gaze of the public, a monarch prepared to say her final goodbye, not just to her nation, but to her family. What was Queen Elizabeth II's last wish? And why has it stirred powerful emotion from both Princess and Queen Camilla? In this powerful story of duty, legacy, and unspoken bonds, we uncover Princess Anne's heartfelt revelation about the Queen's final moments, her voice, her presence, and her dying hope. And we witness Camilla's emotional response, one that says more than words ever could. This isn't just royal history. It's a story of family, of closure, and of one queen's last request that could shape the monarchy forever. In the wake of Queen Elizabeth II's death, new details have emerged from Princess and about the sovereign's final days. In a BBC documentary titled Charles III, The Coronation Year, released December 26, 2023, the Queen's only daughter reflects on her mother's state of mind and reveals that in Queen Elizabeth's last hours at Balmoral Castle, the Queen was concerned about the impact of dying there. "I think there was a moment when she felt it would be more difficult if she died at Balmoral," Anne recalls. And her family gently assured the Queen that such practical worries were not hers to bear. They convinced her that the location shouldn't be part of the decision-making process. This intimate admission underscores Elizabeth's lifelong sense of duty and consideration for others, even as she neared the end. Perhaps the most striking revelation is what has been described as the Queen's dying wish. Royal insiders told Vanity Fair that, after her death, Queen Elizabeth had expressed a final hope for her daughter. It was the Queen's dying wish that her only daughter, whose title the Princess Royal was the highest accolade her mother could bestow, should take on such an important role in her homecoming, journalist Katie Nicholl reports. In other words, the Queen entrusted Princess Anne with a lead role in the ceremonies and responsibilities that followed her passing. Indeed, Anne was by her mother's side in those last hours at Balmoral and accompanied the Queen's coffin on its journey to London. Shortly after the funeral, Anne even issued a public statement thanking the public for their support. "I was fortunate to share the last 24 hours of my dearest mother's life. It has been an honor and a privilege to accompany her on her final journeys," she wrote, emphasizing the personal weight of fulfilling her mother's wish. In practical terms, Queen Elizabeth's preference to die at Balmoral was laden with personal meaning. Balmoral Castle in Scotland was the Queen's beloved retreat, a place of family memories and comfort. And herself stresses how special Balmoral was to her mother and the family. Yet the Queen had also worried whether dying there might complicate the logistical plans, codenamed Operation Unicorn, needed to transport her body for the official funeral in London. Anne's comments make clear that Elizabeth worried about imposing extra burdens on her staff and family. "I think we did try to persuade her that that shouldn't be part of the decision-making process," Anne explains. In the end, as people familiar with the situation noted, it proved fitting that Elizabeth spent her final hours in a place so dear to her soul. As her dying wish, Queen Elizabeth expressed her desire that those who succeeded her carry on her legacy of unity and service. A People magazine report quotes a source close to King Charles saying that Elizabeth would have wanted all members of the family to unite and support the king. Perhaps some wounds can be healed in the process. The Queen didn't hold grudges and, most of all, wanted to see her family happy, the source adds. These words imply that Elizabeth's parting hope was for the family, including brothers Charles, Andrew, Edward, and stepson Harry, to come together. In that light, her decision to have and take center stage at the funeral and coronation ceremonies becomes even more significant. It was a signal of trust in Anne's dedication and a hope that the siblings would rally behind Charles under her leadership. Princess Anne's role in enacting the Queen's final wishes has been unmistakable. She has long been known as the hardest-working royal, and after her mother's death, she took on many duties to support her brother King Charles. In the coronation documentary, Anne candidly recalls the moment when the imperial state crown was lifted from the Queen's coffin. She says she, rather weirdly, felt a sense of relief. Somehow that's it, finished. That responsibility, being moved on. That poignant admission, that she felt her mother's burden lift from the moment Charles became king, highlights the weight of legacy and helped shoulder. In interviews and speeches this year, Anne has continued to honor her mother's memory by emphasizing the continuity of duty. She recently assured an audience that the Queen's values guide the family. "To my mother, the Queen, thank you," and told crowds along the funeral procession route. By fulfilling the Queen's dying wish on a personal level, Anne has embodied the idea of selfless service that her mother exemplified for 7 decades. Camilla's emotional response. Throughout this transition, Queen Camilla has watched as a new chapter for the monarchy unfolded, often alongside Anne. The two women share a quiet bond. They first met decades ago, and Anne introduced Charles to Camilla in 1970. In the new BBC film, Anne goes so far as to praise Camilla's contributions, calling Camilla's understanding of the role absolutely outstanding, and notes that Camilla brings an important change of speed and tone to supporting Charles. It's a rare moment of public admiration from Anne, and it speaks to the trust Camilla has earned. While there is no public record of Camilla's personal feelings about the Queen's last wishes, observers say she has quietly taken the mantle of solidarity. Camilla has attended memorials and public commemorations with composure and respect, and according to royal commentators, her face often reflected a deep empathy. The warmth in Anne's comments suggests that any earlier tensions have eased. In praising Camilla, Anne effectively gives voice to what the Queen herself would have hoped: unity and support in the highest places of power. In these revelations, the significance of Queen Elizabeth's final choices comes into focus. She spent her last day at Balmoral, surrounded by loved ones and family traditions, serving, even in death, by thinking of the burdens others would bear. She entrusted her daughter Anne with a prominent role, ensuring that the Queen's only girl, known to have inherited her mother's work ethic, would be a driving force in the ceremonies that followed. And she left behind a plea for unity, a hope that Charles and the rest of the royal family would heal rifts and support one another. Princess Anne has now publicly confirmed these aspects of her mother's final wishes, turning private moments into a message of service. As one observer put it, even in death Elizabeth II was still serving, a testament to her humility and priorities. For Camilla, hearing Anne's account of the Queen's wishes must have been moving. The late Queen once guarded such moments closely, but now we hear them through her family's voices. Camilla has often been portrayed as the stabilizing partner to Charles. In listening to and describe her mother's care and concern, Camilla would surely recognize the continuity of duty that she herself now embodies as Queen Consort. In this chapter of royal history, Anne's revelations underscore the bonds between these remarkable women, a queen, her daughter, and a devoted sister-in-law. Through Anne's words and her own quiet strength, Elizabeth II's legacy of selflessness and unity is being fulfilled, a legacy that has indeed brought at least some wounds a chance to be healed, just as the Queen would have wanted. Queen Elizabeth's reign ended not with grand words, but with a wish, spoken in trust, carried out in love, and echoed through those she left behind. As princess and fulfills her mother's final hopes, and Camilla stands quietly in honor, the monarchy moves forward, rooted in remembrance. What are your thoughts on the Queen's final wish? Did it change the course of the royal family? Share your thoughts in the comments. Like this video if it moved you, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold royal stories.